Hi again. This is another video from that night I made that crazy war video. While I'm on a roll, I might as well make a few. I should probably change my shirt or something so that you guys think that I do this stuff differently, but I don't. And I don't really care that much. So, oops. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit by what why I'm not a Christian anymore, because I mentioned that in my story video, and no disrespect to anyone who is. I just think that for the kind of person I am, I'm a very I've always been really over feeling and really feeling and just loving to feel things, but then I've also been really I don't ever apply things that I feel to my life unless it's logical and really makes sense. So whenever I'm moved by the spirit, you could call it the Holy Spirit or whatever you want to call it, I never like to extrapolate what that means, an external thing, unless I have logical or scientific or evidence to back it up. And that's just who I am, because a lot of people like to say they are in a certain religion because they have that experience of the spirit flowing through them, but Islam has Sufism, the Catholics or the Pentecostals, they all have these experience voodoo, being possessed. They all have these things where spirit comes into you, and I don't like to just be well, this feels really good, so that's what I'm doing because, drugs feel really good, and, you gotta have the same thing happen to you, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right or best way to live, or there's truth in that. It's just a state of consciousness. And, well, enough on that, but, and I also like to say that, I talk about things that have happened to me in my family and in, my church, which I love them both. We all have issues with people and situations. It's not necessarily the people's fault. Everyone, in my case, people were really doing the best that they could. They just didn't really maybe know any better at the time. And that was a big part of it why I kind of fell away from the church. I was still a Christian, but I was kind of bitter toward it for a while because I wasn't able to really express my emotions or be my authentic self because just a lot of times in church settings, perspective is more important than reality. Um, I'll give that one quote Sheldon Dendy, my boyfriend, because he used that terminology and I love it. Where it's just sometimes you have to put on and show people, or this is the same for the business world. It's the same for a lot of aspects of reality. It's oh, I have to look like I have everything together because if I look like there's a weakness, then that must mean I'm doing something wrong, or nobody should want to be around me, or no one, you wouldn't want to give your business to someone who you knew was having a life crisis. Um, I mean that kind of concept. Um, and that's one thing that I felt, but I also want to say that that's not why I left Christianity or stopped being a Christian, because I think that it's very unwise and shaky um, to leave the church or leave whatever belief system that you believe in based on subjective experience. We are we're humans, and you shouldn't mistake humans with God. I had a friend who told me that, oh, he hates Christians because the church that his brother was going to convinced him that it was not okay to be gay, and oh, Christians hate gay people. And it's well, maybe they do sometimes, maybe they don't sometimes, but humans never claim to be God, and these people are not God. So you should not try to base your belief system off of human actions. Don't go to that church anymore, maybe, but that doesn't mean that, oh, screw the Bible because these people treated me wrong. Um, so basically, I have some dogma issues, some of the things that just happen in the Old Testament. And, I don't particularly agree with, the rape of Tamar. Basically, David's daughter, I believe. I haven't actually read the story in a little bit, so excuse me if I get the details wrong, but this is the gist of it. She got raped by one of David's other sons, and they basically made her marry that. And I know that was to preserve her honor, but it's just like this. It just doesn't really make any sense. And then people are just always trying to say, like, like, even with some of the stuff that God did in the Old Testament, like, smiting people, like, I understand maybe how, like, oh, that's a different culture, but it's just like, that's not really something that I need to. I just think that, like, people just try to shove and, like, put things as metaphors when they were really literal. And then, sometimes people take literal things and, like, basically it's just some of the issues I have, especially with, like, the homosexual stuff. Like, the Bible's pretty clear on, like, how it feels about gay people, and, like, just so many times it's just like when the interpretations are not like they could be, people will say, like, oh, like, the some of the verses refer to, like, pedophilia, not gay people, and God doesn't hate gay people, and other people are like, that he does, and it's like, I just it doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think that I really need that. So that's one of the issues. But the main issue I would say is, I think that, the whole male thing, that women can't be priests or preachers, that Jesus didn't have disciples, the Catholic Church, women can't even be priests. And there are Bible verses that pretty explicitly say that, like, women are not allowed these roles. Whereas if you look at some of, like voodoo and, like, some of the African religions, like, or, like, and some of the other Eastern religions just in general, it's like, women are honored and they're given really high roles. Like, the first book written in Japan was written by a woman, The Tales of Genji, and it's just like, we are not, like, subservient and just like Father God. Like, why does God need a gender? Like, my mom told me, like, oh, like, he's not really like your father, it's just like a metaphor. And I'm like, well, another one of those metaphors that just really makes your subconscious, like, a female hater, and that you need a man to do things. And, like, that did show up in my life, like, for a little bit, where I mean, like, I guess I can't really, like, completely blame it on, like, Christianity, but it's like, whenever you have this mindset of, oh, I need this father to come save me, well, then I look at, like, the guys I was choosing and, like, the kind of situations I was putting myself in, and it's just, like, makes a lot of sense to me of why that's, like, you know, not really the best type of belief system to me. And then the other big one is just, like, the idea of brokenness and that, like, we need a savior. Um, I do think that Jesus was probably a real person, or, that I think he was a real person, honestly, and, I think that he did bring information to these people at a time to help them raise their awareness, and he spoke to them at their level and in terms of their cultural understand. But I also think that, like, Muhammad did that for, like, the Arabic people in 600 AD, and I think that Buddha did that for, the Hindu people. I forget exactly when that was. It was before Jesus, but, you get what I'm saying. I think that, the consciousness, the divine, brings us these people to enlighten us and make us aware. And I think the reason that hasn't happened for a while is, like, we are all getting more connected. We can now travel the world much quicker. Now we have the internet, we can share information. It's like we don't need one person to tell us, how to be saved, because we can easily access this information and go online. I think that, the way Christianity is like, you are broken and you are missing something, and until you accept this something, you will never be whole. The way I look at life is, you were put here with every single piece. It's more like a puzzle. And your job is to put the puzzle pieces together. Sometimes you're going to get them wrong, and the picture's going to look kind of funky, and that's like when you made some wrong decisions, and you need to rearrange things. But all in all, you have all the pieces that you need. You need to put them together. And I thank the Lord for Jesus and the Bible and those teachings, because, I don't agree with a lot of the things that happened over history over them, but those, once again, are man's things. But I do agree with, you know, treat your neighbor, love thy neighbor as thyself. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast. I agree with, having faith. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, understanding the formless before there was form. I think, though, that there were older religions. If you look at a lot of the things that happen in the Bible, they are reflected in the pagan polytheistic religions, especially of like the Egyptians. The story of Osiris, that's pretty much like Jesus being resurrected. And if you look at like some of the things they believe in, you have like this journey and all these different natures to understand about the earth, and the basic tenets of like, or one of the basic goals of Kemetic belief is to have perfect character, congruency of your thoughts, your words, and your actions, meaning that you think good things, you speak good things, and you do good things. And Buddhism also teaches that, with the right thought, right actions, the eight aspects of Buddhism. And it's just like, I kind of do pick and choose from different religions a little bit. But like the general principles, like minus the whole like you need a savior part, I do agree with Christianity. I think a lot of the things that they believe in, like just being kind and studying the words of wisdom, there may not have been, there hardly was any books at the time. So, like, yeah, the Bible really did help with our evolution. Like, I do thank God for that. And I do thank the divine, for that happening. And look at some of the most wonderful people I know are Christian people, and it has helped so many people. And I'm so grateful for it, honestly. I'm not trying to say, like, oh, religion shouldn't exist, because things like they've caused a lot of problems, but there's good and bad sides to everything. I think now we need to have a new understanding and a new respect, at least. At the very minimum, we need to have a new respect for other people's religions. We don't all have to be under the same religion, but you have to have a new respect for each other's beliefs, or it's not going to work anymore, because obviously these beliefs are causing more divides than they are unity right now, with just throughout like the whole like European history, like there has been like Muslims versus Europeans. The Muslims gained power and went all up and through Spain, and then the Europeans drove them back down when the Crusades. And I mean, there's been a bunch of messed up stuff that has happened. The Christians were persecuted, and then the pagans were persecuted by the Christians, and then it's just been like a whole mess. And bad things have happened, but then a lot of good things have happened. Now like some of the first hospitals were Christian, some of the first universities, well, after the fall of the Library of Alexandria, were Christian universities. And I'm not saying that they're perfect, but like these people are people who at least try to be good most of the time. I think that like people who say like, oh, Christians are stupid, or oh, Muslims are stupid, or whatever, it's just like, well, they may not know, they may not be like as intellectual as you, it may not have as much broad understanding of science, but like a lot of times these people do understand. They're so smart in the fact that they know how to live life. They know how to treat people right. They know that family is important. They know that, giving back is important. And they have a lot more happiness than some of like the atheist and agnostic people I know, because they take the time to really understand what life is about. It's good to know things and it's good to be intellectual, but if you're not living your life smart and enjoying those things and enjoying all the different aspects of life, enjoying having relationships with people, enjoying like really loving people and really like getting to know the world, then like, I mean, to me, like, you're kind of stupid. Like, you're probably just like a lonely person who complains all the time and like just tries to be like right about everything and prove everyone wrong. And you're probably just like looking for like a girlfriend or a boyfriend to like complete you, and like that's the same thing as needing like a savior anyway. So like, I mean, not everyone's like that. And I mean, I guess like I'm not completely like agnostic. Like I don't really know everything, but I'm just saying like, you have to, like, a lot of these people who are really bitter about religion, like, just think about that. Because not everyone's like that. Like, cool. I know a bunch of cool atheists and agnostics, who aren't like that. But it's just like, live your life with like love and intelligence. Like the two can mix, you know? Having you have faith at some point in something, you know? Technically when you're born on this earth, literally everything could be a lie. Like look at it from a phenomenological point of view, like everything that could ever have been told to you is a lie. Like history was just all made up. Really, you didn't see your parents get born, so are they really real? Or maybe this is all just a grand illusion. Maybe your life is Truman Show. Maybe, you know, we're really everything was made by aliens and they don't want you to know that. You know, you have to figure things out and have your faith in something. If science is what you have faith in, then that's beautiful. But it's like you don't have the ability to know everything about everything to know like that's true. Like you can't be a scientist who knows everything, a historian who knows everything, you know, someone who knows about like music and knows everything. It's just really not possible in this world to have all that information. So sometimes you just have to trust and have faith that certain people, you know, are right about things. Like you can have a very, very broad knowledge and you can know a lot of things about this world and come to your own understanding. But at some point, like, you know, you didn't do all those research studies on your own. Maybe those people are lying because they wanted money or because it made their bosses look good. Just think about it like that. Like, it doesn't have to be some grand, elaborate scheme, but like at the end of the day, like, you're putting faith in something. So just like, you know, use logic, use your heart, and use your experience and your interactions with other people to guide you and just try and make sense of it the best that we all can. But, you know, don't be a hater. I'll give you a real smile so you know, we can say goodbye in good terms.